Yeah, and there's a couple things you pointed out there that I think are fantastic, right? So the first off is the one thing I love about NIST guidance is so many people believe, or many of the risk management frameworks tend to take an asset-centric approach to risk assessment, which I'm not a fan of. I'm a fan of information-centric risk assessment, which is one of the reasons I like that concept of the FIPS 199 security categorization. Um, the other thing which is interesting about the way that you do it with 800-30 is kind of echoing that same um, information centric, context centric approach that's used by, I think, all great frameworks, right? So as an example, if you look at ISO 27001, right, what's
Right.
the first step in ISO 27001 is scope, which is what? Understand the context, right?
Scope. In
Understand,
fact, we
right?
exactly we use that concept, and you mentioned 853. And so, if you extend the concept of the PIPS 199, which is the low, moderate, and high impact categorization, we then developed three different baselines of
Mhm.
security controls. Our catalog of controls has always been large. The breadth and depth is phenomenal, but
Mhm.
we did have to decide which controls would be starting off in the low, the moderate, and high baselines. And if you'll note in the catalog of our 853, if those baselines do not represent all of the controls in the catalog, we have a lot of optional controls and control enhancements which are never called out in any baseline. So the idea was an agency or any company, once they complete the categorization, they do their risk assessment. Now they can grab one of those baselines, and that's their starting point for doing what we call tailoring. And the tailoring process is really where you customize those controls. You may take out some of the controls because maybe some technology can't support certain controls, or maybe you add a few controls because you know your organization is a target from the adversary. And so that tailoring process ends up giving you a tailored baseline, and those are the controls that then go into your security plan, and that's what you actually execute too.
Mhm.
And so I think that's the power of frameworks and controls. You could never have a one size fits all for the federal government for every agency. You almost had to go down a road like we did, where you have a very large and broad set of safeguards and countermeasures, but the ability to give some guidance initially on where you think they ought to start based upon the impact level tied to their mission or their business. And then from there, you give agencies, you empower the agencies or the private sector companies to customize as they see fit. That's the
Mhm.
power of risk management, and that's missed by a lot of people, unfortunately.